Hey, this is Seth, and in this video, I want to talk to you about how to be unstoppable in life. How to not be stopped. Now, when I hear the word unstoppable, I was thinking of like the Incredible Hulk ripping off his shirt, screaming, and this very, very intense, pushy, hustly, really forced, exhausting experience, like unstoppable. And that's really not what I'm talking about. Because, being unstoppable can actually be a very quiet, calm thing. Simply means that you are committed to something that you will not give up on until you achieve it. And that is a beautiful thing, to be that committed. And I think that's why I was successful in digital marketing. For whatever reason, when I found digital marketing, I basically was like, I'm not ever going to give this up. Ever. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it seems, no matter how many failures I make. And in the beginning, I had tons. I spent like a year, you guys, I don't know if you heard my story, but in the first year, I thought I was going to make money through my own website, through affiliate marketing, and I made like $40. And I remember thinking, like, what the hell did I spend all this time doing? But I didn't give up. I just kept going, and eventually led me to my agency job, and then 6 figures, and then teaching other people. But there were other things I had tried where I gave up very quickly. So in this video, what I would like to try to do is try to distinguish a little bit how to be unstoppable, because there's something kind of indefinable about it. That's why I don't want you to have that experience of just like, oh, I just gotta force myself. For me with digital marketing, there was enough of genuine interest, genuine passion, genuine enjoyment in the work that allowed me to commit like that. I mean, if you hate something, right? Like, I have friends who are in this situation. You must know people who became accountants or lawyers or are in finance because that was what they're supposed to do to make money, and they push themselves in an unhealthy way, and they have success, but it's like, at what cost? They sacrifice their happiness and their humanity for some of these careers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about forcing yourself. A lot of people do that with college. Like, the family has this commitment that they should be unstoppable in getting that college degree, and then the kids just put themselves through hell to get it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about today, with everything that's happening in the world, with so many challenges, everybody's feeling this struggle, because the foundation of our planet has been shaken to its core, and it sucks. And you can forget that things are actually really good. Like, we have good lives. We're just dealing with some challenges. So I was trying to think about how do you actually be unstoppable? Now, the first thing I would suggest is, really, you need to have a focus, right? Because one thing I've learned is a goal, a focus, an inspiration, a purpose, something. You need something. Now, I love digital marketing because that's what gave me my focus at that time. It was a time in my life where I was really directionless, and I was feeling very depressed because I had the thing is, I think determination and being unstoppable without a purpose becomes survival. You're just getting through the day every day. I would work these retail jobs or table waiting jobs. Well, why am I doing anything? It's just to make some money to pay for rent so I can come back to work. It's terrible. When I found digital marketing, I had a sense of kind of purpose and interest, direction, and a goal. Just having a goal for a lot of people is huge. When you find a goal that actually inspires you in some way. Simply having the goal helps you be unstoppable, because if you feel you get defeated, you feel failure, you feel bad, you can process those emotions and then get back to your goal. The second thing I would suggest is take the time limit. This is very important. Take your time limit off your goal. This is important. It's so important, because a lot of people get confused. I know there's a lot of talk about this in the world of success and goal setting and shit, where people talk about time limits, and this is how people fail. This is how people give up. If you put a time limit on a certain type of person, it's very rare, they will perform, they will excel. I know people like this. This is a rare breed of person. This is the type of person that would get into, say, producing a reality TV show, which is an insane 20-hour-a-day lifestyle. But for most of us, that's just pressure. For me, when I was struggling in my 20s and early 30s, that was what was killing me, this time pressure. And I know a lot of you guys have that, whether it's a form of imposter syndrome or a form of this feeling of my life is passing me by. I'm 27. I should have done this already. I was 21. I had this shit. I'm 21. I should be a millionaire. Crazy. You know, I started having real success and more success when I was in my late 30s. But you don't know the time frame. And even with my course, I'm like some people, they get that first job offer in a month. Some people, it takes 6-7 months. If you're committed and if you accept that, you will have so much more success. But the people who struggle and get stopped are the people who put these invisible, time limits. You know, I've had people say to me, oh, it didn't work in 2 months. It doesn't work. I'm done. You just screwed yourself. You just stopped yourself. And if you're working towards your goal, let's say you give yourself a month, which is not long enough. You have 4 weeks, like 30 days of time. You're not going to make the best use of that time because you're going to have this pressure. Take it away. There's no time limit. Trust in the process. And that's another way to be unstoppable too, because it's another reason how people get stopped is like if you have a failure in that context, you have nothing to stand on. But when I have a goal that's like long term or in the future, I don't have a time limit, and I have like 5 failures, I would just be like, okay, well, this is just part of the growth process, you know. But if I have 5 failures and I need to get this shit done tomorrow morning, I'm screwed, you know. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't make my $10,000 overnight. I give up. It's terrible. So that's another thing you can do is take the time limit off. And then I really think, I'm kind of coming up with this. Those two I had really put some thought into, and now I'm kind of coming up with that on the top of my head. Is like, I've talked about perfectionism. I've talked about all the things we do mentally to stop ourselves because we don't want to risk looking bad. I really think to expand upon the time thing, you have to take failure out of your vocabulary. It doesn't exist. You know, there are times, like the worst times in my life is when I buy into the myth of failure. It's not a real thing. Thomas Edison, there's a story, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a great story, where they said, you failed 10,000 times to make a light bulb, which he did. Like a lot of these inventors went through hell, making mistake after mistake after mistake, failure after failure to get where they wanted to go. And he said, no, I didn't fail. He said, I successfully found 10,000 ways a light bulb wouldn't work. Now, that may sound like kind of tongue-in-cheek to you, but it's true. If you have that mindset, I want you to imagine you're Thomas Edison right now in your life. Now, if you're trying to make a light bulb and you go through an experiment, you're super excited about it, and the light bulb explodes, and you think, okay, that's a failure. And now this is actually getting really specific. Like, you can react to that in 2 ways. One, that's right, you can have a positive attitude towards the failure, quote unquote, and be like, it's okay. Failure is good. Failure is okay. I'm gonna keep failing until I succeed. Or on the downside, someone might, at some point in that process, if you have like 20 failures, you might feel really discouraged. But if you completely change the definition, and you don't even think it's a failure, it's just information, it's just a lesson. Literally, the thing explodes, it ruins all your work, and you're like, oh my God, that is so interesting. What can I learn from this? I have successfully discovered yet another way this won't work. And you can apply this to your life, especially in job interviews, guys. Go into the job interview, you're super excited, you got everything set up, you have a great interview, and you don't get the job. And, a lot of my really good students will have an attitude of like, okay, well, that was a failure, but I know there'll be a success, so I'm going to keep at it. But go even further. Again, don't make yourself have to overcome the failure. Don't even look at it like that, because it's not. You are like beginning this process, whatever you're working towards. Even if you're a master, that some of the most humble and teachable people are the ones who are the most successful. The people who are the hardest on themselves are the newcomers. So, you have like 3 interviews in a row and you don't get any jobs. Just learn, be excited, be grateful for the interviews, and be like, well, what can I learn from this experience going into the next one? And if you take that attitude into the next interview, one of these interviews, you're going to get the job, because you're going to come in with such a great attitude and you'll have learned so much from it. And there's another part of being unstoppable, I think, that I didn't really even distinguish until now, which is that you have to even give up the idea that you could be stopped. Just give it up. It doesn't mean controlling the outcome. It doesn't mean you're forcing this to happen. It just means you're going to continue towards it. And nothing is trying to stop you. Life is not trying to stop you. It is a learning process. Even if you have 100 failures or like Edison, 10,000 failures, It took me 3 times to actually be a quote unquote entrepreneur where I was making all my income from my own business. I failed the first time because of my mindset. And then the second time, things didn't pan out the way I wanted to, and it took the third time. And thankfully, whatever mechanism in me, I have a very judgmental mind, like a lot of people. I used to give up on things all the time. For some reason, when these things happened, I was teachable, and I didn't let it stop me. When I had my first, I can do another video on this later because I'm running out of time on this one, but my first biggest failure, quote unquote, is when I quit my job to do my film mentoring course, and I was having success, and then my mental, psychological, I couldn't handle the amount of money I was making that quickly. It didn't make sense to me and my programming, which is why mindset is so important. So I began to self-sabotage unconsciously. And within 6 months, I had messed up the whole thing I had created. And then I went back to freelancing and worked, back to jobs instead of working for myself. I was very, very grateful to myself, or to the universe, whatever, that helped me be humble enough to go, I need to learn something from this. And I did, and it changed my life. You can do that anytime with things that you think are stopping you. And the thing in your life where if you've been stopped on something that you really are passionate about, go back to it and take this attitude to it. Especially now, guys. This is the time where stories will be created, where people will ask you questions about what did you do during the pandemic. And so long as you are taking action, and when I say taking action, I don't mean like, again, the Incredible Hulk, like smashing through things. I mean literally just staying engaged and staying focused on your goals and your purpose and something that inspires you, instead of being, stopped or going negative or getting distracted in a lot of the shit people are trying to escape into. That's how you be unstoppable in life. It can be a very quiet thing. I mean, look at my YouTube channel and all this. I just don't stop. I can't even stop making these videos. It's just, and sometimes I don't make one for a week or two, but then I do it again. So it's the other thing. The last thing I'll say, or I don't know if I'll keep talking, is you can also, along with getting rid of the time limit, you can pace yourself. That's another reason people burn out. It's, you see some of these people in some of these professions in the corporate world, people burn themselves out because they're working too hard. If you have a goal, you're working towards it, give yourself a break. And understand that if you take a break, it's not stopping. I took a break from my film dream. I gave up on it 10 years in. 6 years into my break, I met a guy who re-inspired me. And then it took me 17 years from when I first went into film school to actually make a movie. So hopefully for your goals, and a lot of my students, you're reaching your goals much faster. But it's a mindset. Eventually things are going to work out. And that's my opinion on how to be unstoppable in life. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I was kind of freestyling towards the end there. Please feel free to leave comments below, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and let me know what you think of this. Where in your life this is something that you could apply, and also feel free to ask me about other topics that you'd like for me to talk about if you enjoy this kind of video. All right, thanks for hanging out with me for a minute. Hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys soon.